everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. You all requested I take a look at this necklace fiasco in Nigeria, and it is so bad. The cringe is out of control with the Meg in general, but especially here. Today we are taking a look at that, as well as other times that the Meg forgot manners existed. Okay, so here you can see this is the naming ceremony situation. Now, a lot of publications erroneously said, oh, it's Princess Meghan. She was named. No, she was not named a princess. No such thing happened. She was given a daughter name. So essentially one of those guys claimed her as a daughter, essentially, is the closest you could get to explaining what happened. And at this point, Harry is given some gifts, looks like more clothes, and then they are going to give them necklaces. And the man is obviously addressing Harry first. Harry is the one who's a prince, technically, so perhaps that was the reason why they were going for Harry first, or perhaps it was simply because Harry was closer to the man who's, performing this ceremony or talking, hosting the moment. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Regardless, then Meghan starts agitatingly gesturing to Harry to hold his hands in this specific way, and he looks confused. And then she ends up barging over and kind of pushing her away front, and so the man puts the wrong necklace on her, and she ends up having to take it off and give it to Harry. Super embarrassing, super cringy, but let's focus on the manners that she ignored in this particular scene. First off, if someone else is getting a gift, you do not interfere. Even just trying to take the wrapping paper away too quickly kind of makes it seem like you're rushing along the process. It's quite impolite. You're kind of distracting the person from the actual gift. And this is, of course, in cultures where it's appropriate to open the gift in the presence of the giver, the person who gave it to you. In some cultures, you would thank them for the gift and leave it unopened until you were alone, and then you could open the gift alone. But in a situation where the custom is to open the gift in front of the person, you don't want to come and start getting in the way of that or cutting off the tags. You don't want to do stuff like that. Just let the person enjoy the gift, let them be grateful, just leave it, let it be the moment. So the fact that Meghan is kind of interfering in Harry's gift receiving is already incredibly impolite. Next, she's trying to indicate to him that he should hold his hands in this sort of weird, specific way that she keeps demonstrating. I'm not sure if she, for some reason, thought that this is the way you should hold your hands if you're being given a gift, but it looks kind of weird to me. It looks like you're begging, like you're yeah, give me the gift. Put it in my hands. Give it now. That's what that looks like to me. That's kind of weird. I've never seen anybody do that. Not in a situation like this. And he's putting necklaces on these guys. So I'm not sure why you would want to hold your hands like this when a necklace is being put over your head. It doesn't make sense. If you know about this custom, then please let me know in the comments if there is significance, if that is a tradition or part of the custom to hold your hands out like this. If not, then we're just going to go with Meg having a dumb idea here, because that looks weird. It looks like you're begging. But regardless of whether or not that's an appropriate thing to do or not, she's being pushy towards Harry. No, at no point do they put anything in Harry's hands. He just stands there like this, looking kind of silly. But next, she just pushes in. That is also rude. To push into the middle of a situation like this is rude in every situation under the sun. There's no scenario in which that's not rude, unless, of course, maybe it's your actual child up there and you notice that your child is kind of freezing. Then it might be okay to come up there and interrupt or just support your kid. But Harry's a man, and so he doesn't need the Meg's support to receive a necklace. Waiting turns is a preschool lesson, and clearly in this situation, she doesn't wait her turn. So that's weird. That is bad manners. But she's also blocking people from seeing what's happening. By maneuvering in the position that she did, essentially the people everybody's watching are now stacked in layers. So now she's kind of blocking the line of sight for the people who are watching this to be able to see the necklaces being given. And it's already a crowded area anyway, so she's really pushing her way in here. So that's yet another example of bad manners. We have interference in someone else's situation, Harry's interaction with the man, getting his necklace and whatnot. She's interfering in Harry's experience. She's blocking people from watching the experience. She's pushing first to get the necklace first. She's being bossy to Harry, and she gave him weird advice. So there's so many examples of her having bad manners here. Also, the way that she receives the necklace at first, she's very much just looking, and she's looking at him. It reminds me of somebody wanting more. She's like impatient to get more from this man. And then he drops some earrings into her hand after he corrects the necklace problem and gives her the right necklace. Then he drops earrings into her hand. So I think at this point, she has this big long necklace on and she's just standing there waiting like, yeah, no, give me the earrings. Somehow she knew that she was going to get some earrings. I don't know how she found that out, but she's like, playing there like, give them to me, come on, give me the gift. That's what it looks like. It's so weird and greedy kind of feeling. And yeah, overall, this is just a nightmare when it comes to manners and etiquette. I could go on for an hour dissecting all the etiquette fails in this. It would be boring. So let's look at one of the internet's favorite memes. This is when she and Harry went to the Canadian embassy right before announcing, or on the day they announced, Megxit. And so here they're going into a room where they have a conversation. Now this was initially staged as Harry and Meghan were thanking the Canadian embassy for their hospitality while they were in Canada over the holidays, because at this time, Harry and Meghan had just spent a few weeks over in Canada over the Christmas holiday. They went to, for some reason, the press release was that they went to thank them for their stay or something like that. So they were going to sit down and talk with a few people, and Meghan charges in and sits down immediately and pats the seat for Harry to sit down. And it does come off like mothering behavior. It's bossy in general, but it's something that you do for your kids. You're like, yeah, come sit right here. This is where we're sitting. You sit here. Oftentimes, if you're gesturing to somebody, it kind of immediately creates a problem, because either the person will comply and you kind of end up looking bossy, which we've seen countless times from the Meg polo matches in particular, or they don't do what you say, they don't follow your gesture, and you're ignored and you kind of look silly and you might be a little embarrassed, or they have to explain that there's something else they have to do first, and it's kind of this moment of confusion. You have to communicate, and it defeats the purpose of trying to give like a on the low gesture of like, oh yeah, we're gonna come stand over here or something like that. It gets ruined. So it's best to just not create those situations in the first place. Let others be, just calm down a little bit. She seems to really rush and jump the gun a lot, and that's what made me think for a long time that perhaps she's just really insecure, and perhaps she is. People high in narcissism often are quite insecure, so perhaps that is part of it, but a lot of times when somebody's a little bit insecure and a little bit nervous, they do kind of rush something because they just kind of want to get it over with because they're not 100% confident. They can't calm down, take a breath, and be still. But anyway, in this scenario, no one else is yet in the room by the seats when she sits down. She's the only one who's made it there yet. And there are other people in the meeting. What's most polite and the sort of done thing is to wait for everybody to filter in and stand where they're going to eventually sit down. They stand in front of their seat before everybody sits down. And typically it is the highest ranking person in the meeting or the group or the room that sits first, not ladies, in situations like this. For example, in a situation where it's a meeting with a president of a country, the president sits first. If there's a monarch, the monarch sits first. If it's a royal, they sit first. Or the host of the meeting would sit first, and then everybody else sits down. You even see it in corporate settings. The CEO comes in last, and he sits down first, and everybody else is just kind of standing there in front of their seats. Or if they had already been sitting, they stand up when he comes in the room, or she comes in the room, and then they all sit down when the CEO or the owner, whomever it is, sits down in their seat at the head of the table, then everybody else sits down. This is very, very standard. So the fact that Meg sat down before anybody else was even near their seats is already rude. And then she also didn't have Harry sit first, which you could argue whether or not that was that big of a deal. But sitting down before anybody else even had a chance to get anywhere near their seats is rude, no matter which way you slice it. So it's bad manners 3 ways: sitting before anybody else gets to a seat, not waiting for the group; a me first attitude despite not being the host or the royal; and telling Harry where to sit and being bossy. Okay, next up we have this really typical maneuver from the Meg. She does this move a lot. So this was at Invictus. I think this was last fall. She is ready to leave. She is done talking to people, done being there, done with it, over it. She's leaving. She is going that way. He is still looking in the other direction and talking to somebody. I might have this backwards. Right off the bat, this is a couple that does not look like they are in sync. They're literally focused on opposite goals at this point. Harry decides he'd like to help put away this cone, and now sometimes the internet decides to frame this like, Harry's such a gentleman, wow, he moved a cone, calm down. But regardless, that ignores the context of just how rude the Meg is. She's dragging him away while he's trying to let somebody finish talking to him and deciding he's going to pick up this cone, and he wants to do that. And he has to pull away from her to be able to do that. And then she tries to save face, and then he gets a pat on the back for moving a cone. It feels really elementary school, it just does. But she does the same maneuver here in this blue dress, but this time he's trying to shake someone's hand. And instead of letting go or even going with him, she just plants her feet and holds out her arm and watches. It's weird. It is weird. It doesn't just show her bad manners, it's also preventing him from fully engaging with that person or that event. It's like he's on a leash and he can't just move about freely in a way that he sees fit and she's there to support. No. I also have lots of examples of her leaping, elbowing, pushing, or pulling her way to be first. Here's the thing. If you happen to be first, cool. But if not, there is nothing that makes you look worse than trying to run or push or edge your way into the front of a line or a situation. There is no polite way to ensure you get somewhere first, unless you leave earlier than everybody else or something like that. There's no polite way to be walking with a group and get to the front of that line and be first. It either happens for you or it doesn't, and that's what protocol is there for, to let the blood royal or the person with the most seniority in the monarchy in that situation to go first, because they are technically the person that usually people are there to see. Now, I'm not going to say that Meghan couldn't have, if she had played her cards completely differently and we were in a completely different situation, she may have ended up being more popular than Harry, and people may have ended up wanting to see her more than they wanted to see Harry. But that would have come at years down the line, after years of investing work and time and building relationship with the public. And none of that happened. So this is all just her pushing forth to be first for the reason of being first. There's no actual reason for it. It's just that she wants to come first. Because she's not in line to come first. Protocol doesn't state she should be first. And typically the ushers and Harry and everybody is trying to have Harry go first. So she's going against the grain to try to edge out in front of everybody else. It looks really, really bad. Gives me the vibes of people who can't stand waiting in line. They're huffing and puffing and tapping their foot as if everybody else is not patiently waiting in line as well. These are particularly bad manners where she literally puts her hand on his shoulder, and you can see not only does she pull his shoulder back and down, she's not only pulling him back physically, but she's also looking down each time she does this maneuver to make sure that he has moved his feet out of the way so that she has places to step her 2 big shoes to walk forward in front of him and step in front of him. It's crazy. It's crazy bad manners too. She's using a pulling gesture and looking for open floor space to walk in front of him at the same time. Additionally, this is also rude for Harry. Forget his prince title for a second. I know it'll be so hard. It's her husband. It's a human being here, her partner in life, standing there talking to somebody already, perhaps even knows the people already or has met them previously, and she wants to be pushed first. She wants to push in front of him, thereby not only looking like a big bull charging through herself, but also is pushing him aside and belittling his presence rather than supporting him. It's unkind as a wife to do something like that, and it's unkind in general. We also have these stares. It is uncomfortable. To have somebody burn a hole through your face while you're talking to somebody else. You can tell when somebody is just staring you down. You can tell. And that is what she does. Take this type of moment here. Meghan and Harold are talking to somebody, and while Harry is talking, Meg is staring that person straight in the face. But that person is looking at Harry because Harry's the one talking. So they're trying to talk to Harry, and Meghan is just staring at them, trying to get them to look at her, I guess. It's intense. Honestly, Meg should also be glancing at Harry because Harry's the one talking, so it's yet another example of her being completely dismissive of Harry's existence altogether. She's not listening to what Harry is saying at all. She's not paying attention to him. She's just staring at this person, ignoring him, thinking about getting that person's attention or interjecting in the conversation. I don't know what this is. The fact that she's not engaging with what Harry says at all is pretty strange. You want to be attuned to the pulse of a conversation so that when you do have something to add or there's a brief pause, you can gracefully chime in. But by staring down the person and not making eye contact with the speaker and not watching the speaker at all, you're unable to really fully pick up on all of those cues. There's a lot of nonverbal cues that indicate somebody is about to complete their sentence or about to leave a pause or kind of finishing what they're saying. And by just staring at the one guy, she's not paying attention to what Harry's saying at all. She's not going to be a good conversationalist. Big surprise. It's essentially trying to lure attention away from Harry, I suppose. But furthermore, like I said, it's completely ignoring Harold. And by the way, I get a lot of grief for calling him Harold. It's just a nickname. It's a reference from his book Spare. It's sarcastic. Yes, his name is Prince Harry, born Prince Henry. I know. You know. We all know. Harold's just for fun. But this whole thing, it's poor manners. Put somebody else in Harry's place. It could be anyone. Meghan is essentially ignoring that person, trying to exclude them from the next thread of the conversation. It's like a mean girl at the table, at the lunch table tactic. Just pretend that person's not there. Don't make any eye contact with them. Ignore everything they're saying. That's what it looks like. Here we have a really awkward pen moment that's also kind of funny. She enters the room first, likely after having charged forth with one of her previously explained maneuvers, but the usher invites Prince Harry to sign the book, ignoring her and saying, "Oh, Prince Harry, would you like to sign this book?" So he comes over to sign the book. So she's forced to sort of use her sporadic gestures to let him go first. These read like somebody who is very, very annoyed here. Alternatively, she could have chosen to like make small talk or compliment the room or something instead, but you know, she's not being personable or polite here. Instead, she kind of crankily waves him over as if he doesn't know his way to the book. And then after he signs it, he just kind of holds the pen up here like this, like, come and take it. One theory is that she was not meant to sign the book at all, but caused a fight about it beforehand, and so he knew he needed to offer the pen to her in some way, shape, or form, but because it was against protocol, he didn't, feel like handing it to her directly. He expected her to step up and kind of take the initiative, so he was holding it just above the book. Another theory is that he simply expected her to step towards the book at that point, but she wanted an official invitation. So she was hesitating, waiting for the usher or Harry to tell her an invite to sign it the way Harry got an invite to sign the book. No matter, she looks cranky here, her body language reads really, really annoyed, and mostly, again, it looks like a couple not in sync. They don't have a good flow together. Maybe it's because they're a Leo and a late Virgo. It's not always the easiest match if you believe in that sort of a thing. I think when looking at a number of these clips in a row and just remembering a lot of them off the top of my head, she always seems quite fixated on the order in which people filed in places or their placements in general. She watches it so closely, and her face in these times doesn't look like genuine curiosity, like somebody learning, oh, okay, so this is how they do it. These people go first, they wait a couple seconds, and then the next person, and who comes next, and how does this all work, and where are we, and what is this room all about? She's not looking around in a curious manner. She is staring down the people going before her with laser vision. What the heck? They go, and then them, and then us? We're last? Seriously? That's what it looks like. That's what her face says in these situations. It's just so odd. You'd think you'd be taking it all in, absorbing the new experiences and enjoying the moment, chatting with your partner, having a nice time. I don't know. Instead, this seemed to be a really big deal for her, so much so that she became obsessed with trying to go first. Like, if we're always going to be last in the family, then I'm sure as heck gonna go first between the two of us. That sort of a vibe. She thought at least she could go before Harry. She couldn't go before the more senior royals, I guess, which is quite frankly a stupid idea, but it just shows immense immaturity on her part. But furthermore, what it does tell us is how she views her husband. That she can just take that me first attitude and impose it on him because she's actually annoyed that they were at the time the fourth couple to enter the rooms or whatever. Instead of taking a team approach as a couple and relaxing about something you can't change or control, she made Harry take the slack for it, and he had to be pushed behind her all the time and still is. But what do you guys think of these clips? What was your peak cringe? Be sure to leave it in the comments. I cannot wait to read them. Thank you so much for joining me for this fun little bonus video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.